Now, I don't know about you guys, but just the other day, I was thinking that we absolutely need more of these. Alright, what is going on, my dudes? We are back here today with the newest champion released in MCOC, and that is going to be Spider-Man Supreme. Now, today, like always, we are going to break down exactly how this guy works. I'm going to tell you what you need to know, what he's good for, what he could be useful for, and then I'm going to show you some clips as well. This guy, following the trend of just having so many words, an absolute novel, man, for this guy. But he's truly rather simple when you break it down. So we're just going to break it down. Just the important stuff that you need to know today. That's all we're going to be doing. So my guy Spidey Supreme here has blessings. He's one of those mystic champions like Sorcerer Supreme, Symbiote Supreme, Doctor Strange, right, who has blessings. And he has a few of them, okay? We'll talk about the Sig ability later. But the first one that you have to know about is the blessing of the Astral form. Now, he gets this whenever the opponent gets a Spider Seal, Unblockable, or Unstoppable buff. Now, Spider Seals are a buff that Spidey places on the opponent with his special one and his first medium attack. Now, if the defender hits you with their first medium attack, they will also gain a Spider Seal buff, and the Astral form will be activated. Just like how it sounds, the Astral form is going to make you kind of like miss attacks for like 2 seconds or so, 3 seconds or so. Absolutely wonderful, okay? Now, if you do actually miss a hit, it's going to go on cooldown, but the amount of unique buffs, not number of buffs, on the defender that includes Spider Seals that they have, that's going to reduce the cooldown by a certain bit. Now, one other thing, okay? If they have an unblockable buff, that cooldown is ignored. So you can miss a hit from an unblockable defender. It has to be a buff, not a passive, okay? And then you can just miss it again. It's not going to trigger the cooldown. It's definitely very nice to have. There's a clip for that later that I will show you guys. So the Spider Seal is a buff. So essentially, you're always going to have at least one unique buff on the defender at all times. Now, that's great, because each unique buff on the opponent reduces their ability power rate by 33%. The power that's denied from them is going to be transferred to you instead. So this is really good for, like, you know, Hyperion, Arcus, even Super Scroll is actually very good for Super Scroll. All those champions who have, like, that passive power gain at some point in their kit. It even works for, like, Sorcerer Supreme, who doesn't have buffs, right? It's not going to be crazy on her unless there are other nodes that give her buffs. Just keep that in mind. But it's really useful for, like, you know, Hyperion. It's going to, like, you know, he has his power gain buff, and then the Spider Seal is going to reduce his power rate by 66%. Now, if there's an additional buff, so 3 of them, it's going to reduce it by 99%. That's going to be really good. But just like making that power gain go 66% slower is definitely very nice to have, okay? Now, one great thing about him is that all of his bursts of energy damage and personal passives and buffs, they can't be affected by ability accuracy. That's really good for Cersei specifically, because she has that glancing buff that's really annoying, so you can kind of ignore that glancing buff. We have a clip of that later. One more very unique and interesting thing that he has here is that when the Spider Seals are nullified, because he has a blessing that we're about to get to that nullifies the Spider Seals, Mystic Dispersion does not activate. Alright, so you won't get power back. It works for other buffs, just not for the Spider Seals. Instead, based on the level of Mystic Dispersion that you have, essentially, you're going to have increased burst of power there for every 1% of power not gained from that Mystic Dispersion mastery. So, if you run this guy with 5 out of 5 MD, he's going to be hitting a lot harder. 0 MD in this video, just so you guys know. Okay? So, that brings us to the blessing of the Spider Totem. When the defender gains 20 buffs, they're going to essentially activate the blessing of the Spider Totem for you, because every buff they gain, you gain 1 totem. When you get to 20, you activate the blessing. Now, this could be any buff. This could be your Spider Seals, or it could be like if you're fighting Super Scroll or Hulkling, for example, you hit the defender, they gain a buff, you're going to gain a totem. So obviously, this is one of those Mystic Champions who seriously excels against Cosmic Champions and is, you know, workable in other matchups as well, you know. So, his own first medium attacks nullify Spider Seal buffs instead of granting them, while the blessing of the Spider Totem is active, dealing a burst of energy damage if a Spider Seal was nullified. Now, you also gain additional attack rating, and your combat power rate is reduced by 70%, but you gain a nice flow of 25% of your max power every 9 seconds. And of course, if the defender has passive power gain, you're going to be gaining even more power because you're stealing their power, okay? Now, when the opponent gains a buff while the totem is active, they're also going to gain a Spider Seal buff and pause the blessing for 1 second, all right? The pause also triggers when nullifying a spider seal. So far, what we got here is that you're entering the fight. You want to hit them with your first medium attack, okay? You also want to intercept. I think we did skip over that really quickly. Yeah, back to the Astral form really quickly. So nullifying spider buffs triggers the Astral form, okay? And also intercepting the opponent while the Astral form is active grants 3 spider seal buffs to the opponent. So while you're nullifying spider totems, that's how you essentially want to keep the buffs on the opponent. So you can keep nullifying, you can keep the totem paused, and you can stay in your damage mode a lot longer. One more blessing, the blessing of the web. Basically, you use a heavy attack and you're going to be able to steal the opponent's buffs. You can't steal any buffs that are already active, but any buffs that are going to be gained after your heavy attack. Now, these could be Furies, Armor Ups, Regeneration, or Pierce buffs, or Cruelty, or Precision, and you're going to gain the same buff there, which is going to be really, really nice. You can start to hit really, really hard if you're stealing a bunch of Fury buffs and other stuff like that. Now, as a defender, he gains his blessing every 15 seconds unless you hit him with a heavy attack. So make sure you knock this guy down constantly unless you don't have any buffs. You don't have to worry about it. But that's how you counter him anyway, you know? So if you don't have buffs, there you go. That's how you're going to counter this guy. Now, let's move on to the special one, okay? Each hit of the special one grants a spider seal buff to the opponent. If your heavy attack blessing of the web is active, you're also going to inflict the curse of the web for 20 seconds. What this does is it reduces the potency of all of those same buffs by 95% for 20 seconds. So you're going to be stealing their buffs and also reducing the potency by 95%. Pretty much like rendering those like champions that are going to be like, you know, gaining a bunch of buffs to pose a defensive threat, kind of useless, which is definitely nice. But the special 2 is where it is at. The last 3 hits deal energy damage, and if the blessing of the spider totem is active, which is your damage mode, each hit nullifies 1 spider seal buff and deals a burst of energy damage per buff nullified. Now, both of those effects happen through the block. Watch out for that on defense, but keep in mind also, if you run Mystic Dispersion, it's going to be a 3rd source of burst damage. So this is really where this guy's damage comes from, especially if you're fighting a champion, a cosmic champion with a lot of buffs. You're going to have all this damage and stuff could be increased. It doesn't say anywhere it's based on base attack only, right? So that could totally be increased by Furies and other stuff as well. So the special 3 is also cool. More often than not, you're not going to be using this thing, but what it does is actually really, really cool. Inflicts a root passive for 4 seconds, and rooted champions can't move, blah, 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 blah. But while the opponent is rooted, any contact power steals for 2% of the opponent's current power, and you gain 100% of the power stolen, and any contact grants spider seal buffs to the opponent. So if you get to a special 3, not that big a deal. You just use it, and then you just hit the defender while they're rooted. You're going to place spider seals on them. You're going to steal their power. You're going to be able to get to a special 2 right away, really. So it's not that big of a deal. It's kind of like a, oops, I got to a special 3. Let's get the rotation back in order, put some spider seals on, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about this guy. Let's just talk about the sig ability quickly. The sig ability, you definitely do not need it, but it's very nice to have. Basically, it increases the potency of granted buffs from the heavy attack by 50%, and the blessing of the web. Blessing of the spider totem increases the potency of burst of energy damage by 50%. That's definitely really nice. That's where most of your damage comes from. And then the blessing of the astral form, you gain 15% of max power when the cooldown triggers. Personally, I really like that one, and I actually use that offensively a lot because that could shoot you up to a special 2 like right away, and it could, you know, just keep you in that rotation of spamming specials over and over. So yeah, that is essentially how this guy works. Let's start watching some clips on this guy, man. I should have set like all of it up first. All right, we are all set. We are all set up here. So we're going to jump in first to the Deadpool that we always test out some damage on for the Alliance War / Battlegrounds type health pool. Okay, we're running just rank 3, no suicides, no relics, because that's the new thing, and we have no Mystic Dispersion either. So this is really like, you know, baseline, you know, Spidey Supreme. Like, this is what he's going to be like. You know, you don't have to have the prerequisite of Mystic Dispersion. Like I said, it's going to increase his damage, though, so keep that in mind. But anyway, let's jump in, man. So, Like I said, the rotation is so much simpler than it looks, all the words, right? We're going to go ahead. We're going to activate the Blessing of the Astral Form. We're going to go for intercepts. Look at our spider totems, which is the gray passive on the left, okay? Deadpool doesn't have buffs, so you can also just kind of keep count, you know, with the spider seal buffs, the purple buffs. We got 16, 19. Here we go. Blessing of the spider totem. We are in it, okay? You want to be aggressive with the sky, okay? We're going to be really aggressive here. And now we're going to go for our first special 2. Here it comes. Bang, bang, bang. All right, you got the yellow numbers, you got the red numbers. Okay, I'm gonna go for the heavy attack, Blessing of the Web, because Deadpool's going to go ahead and get his regen buff here. Now, I do want to point out, may have been a better move to go for the special 1, because what that would do is reduce the potency of his regen by 95%. But, you know, what I'm doing here is I'm going to get up to the special 2, and I wanted to use another special 2. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. It's pretty much like the same outcome, right? I feel like it would have been like around the same ending time. But yeah, as you can see, he can definitely be pretty effective in the right scenario. Now, Deadpool does not have any buffs, okay? Now, if there are buffs, there's a lot more for this guy to take advantage of. That's kind of his bread and butter. He's definitely one of those champions who's certainly usable in those regular vanilla scenarios, kind of like the Deadpool, right? He could be effective. But if we go to this fight over here, okay, we're here. Archangel was just for the first fight. Didn't feel like doing it with Spidey here. But this is a big boy, a big super scroll over here. Okay, let's check out these nodes. Power suppression. All right, this is for science champions. Doesn't matter. Arms race. Both the attacker and defender gain a passive fury during their special attacks based on the defender's power. Cool. Very, very cool. Power snack too. So power snack, all right? Feat of energy as well. What does that bad boy do? Feat of energy. When the attacker reaches 1 bar of power, the defender gains a power gain buff, granting 100% of bar power over 4 seconds. Also, Scroll has special 2 bias, less likely to activate special 1. Now, of course, Scroll has a lot of buffs, and keep in mind before this starts here, okay, that for every unique buff on the defender, you're going to be reducing their passive power gain by 33%. That's going to include power snack. It's going to include the power gain he's going to gain when we gain 1 bar of power. It's going to include his personal power gain buff as well. So we're going to be just getting all that power towards us. Let's stop talking. Let's watch it, okay? So what we're going to be doing here is right away Blessing of the Web, because we're going to be stealing his buffs. We're going to be stealing all of his buffs here, man. We got the armor up going, right? And obviously when we hit Super Scroll here, he's going to go ahead and gain a lot of his buffs, and we're going to build our totems. Now look at his power. Look at his power right over here, because he's got the power gain from the node, power gain from his kit, right? Also power snack when it activates as well. We haven't gotten our intercepts here, but it's totally okay. Look, we're going for special 2s here. Burst through the block. We're going for special 2s because we're gaining so much power before we even get to the spider totem. It doesn't even matter. At this point, he's gaining power again, but he's yet to like reach a bar of power to use a special attack here, right? Because we're just going for the special 2s over and over and over. Now we've done like over 220,000 damage at this point. And of course, we can also in a way like, you know, block a hit, gain a fury, and then we can copy some fury buffs as well. Here we're going to just throw that to push him back, go for a special 2 again. We just keep stealing the power. We keep spamming the special attacks. Look at our power bar. Look at that. Is crazy, man. That is actually pretty nutty right there. And that's just it. That's just it. Very effective for stuff like this. When the nodes get like out of control with some power gain, with a lot of buffs, when there are a lot of buffs, he can do some things. He can do some things, man. So, same quest, actually. All right, 420,000 health. Venom, Paradox boss, a lot of stuff going on. He's going to start unblockable. Keep this in mind. And the attacker gains plus 20% combat power rate for everything that we have, every Paradox we have. Now, he's going to be unblockable until we get 3 of our Paradox charges. He has parry, vulnerability, and special delivery. Not too much going on here, except for the Paradox and the unblockable, but what I want to show you specifically, I wanted to find a big bad Venom to do something fun with. Here, I was trying to bait a medium attack, because when they hit you with a medium attack, their first medium, you're going to trigger the Astral form. It's a really fun way to hit them with a heavy attack. He's just not letting me do it. He's just not letting me get off the freaking heavy, man. He's like, what are you doing? All right, so we're trying it again. Come on. Come on. He's not doing it. It's not happening. So whatever, man. You know, I mean, look at this. He's gaining buffs. We have 14 totems. We finally got it off. Now, what I actually want to do here is I want to push him up to a special 2. Okay? Now watch what's going to happen here. He's going to go for the special 2 and 7 Furies. We got 7 of them. 7 Furies here, okay? We have to keep a little eye on the paradox here, but check it out. Now, oh, whoa, those were some big special 2 bursts, okay? Now, because of the paradox, he gains 1 more buff. Yeah, there we go. He's going to go ahead and just explode us, but that doesn't really matter. Ignore that. Paradox is really silly. It's not very fun, right? But as you can see, super effective when you can steal those buffs. He starts to hit pretty darn hard. I'm very blurry. Let's fix that. So yeah, obviously big difference between fighting Super Skrull, fighting Venom, and the regular Deadpool with no buffs, nothing to copy, nothing to take advantage of, no power gain to siphon, right? So yeah, up next we'll go for a Hyperion, just a 6.2.6 Hyperion, right? Basically, here, let's go back for a second here. Look at just his power gain from the 1 buff, 33% reduced. Now 66% reduced for the rest of the fight. So he still certainly gains it. Now, if there was 1 more buff that we could put on him, you know, if he had a different, maybe we could bait a heavy attack, eat a heavy attack, and give him a little fury. That'd be nice, right? No, but basically, it makes it a lot safer. I wish it was like minus 50%. That would just counter Hyperion right away. Maybe a future synergy could be like increases the potency by 17%, and that would bring it up to 50% each. Seems like a good synergy idea if anybody's listening. But yeah, as you can see, it's definitely effective. You see, he's pretty much like kind of just stalled right there, where unless he gets like super duper passive, you're pretty much going to be pretty good to go. And as you can see, Spidey's power bar is going up nicely as well. So I do like him for Hyperion, no doubt about it. But, you know, recently, over the past like year or so, man, I feel like the Cosmic class has exploded in every possible way imaginable, both from offense and also defense. Some of the worst defenders in the game right now, worst meaning like most annoying, hardest, are Cosmic. Some of the best attackers are Cosmic. The Cosmic class, just like, it might be the best class in the game now. I don't know. I have to sit down and really think about that, but I think it might even be better than Mutant at this point, just because of how well-rounded it is. There's still so much crap at the bottom, though, so that might hurt its chances there, but that's a different topic for a different day. Let's go ahead and check out Icarus, okay? So this is 5-star rank 1 Spidey, because we're just going to be doing like duels here, and it's going to be just killing them too fast. So I really wanted to show you like the utility here, okay? This is 5-star rank 1 versus a 6-star rank 3. We're already in our spider totem, but what I wanted to show, because every time you hit him, right, he gains his little his energize. But what I wanted to show you is this very interesting piece of utility here, where we're going to actually, look, unblockable. He has an unblockable. Where's the cooldown? No cooldown because of that unblockable buff, right? So that unblockable buff that can really ruin your day, Spidey can kind of get around that pretty darn easily there, man, because it's just pretty cool the way that works, you know? It's definitely a bit niche of an ability. Funny enough, Cersei has the same thing, but how about that? Again, the unblockable buff, and I'm sure we're probably going to be seeing more defenders with unblockable buffs in the future. Now, this is not just for, you know, base kit unblockables. If there's a node, right, where they get an unblockable on their special attack or something like that, or however they have an unblockable, that's very, very, very solid, man. It's almost like a Miles Morales type thing in a way. Now, it's funny enough, to go along with Icarus, Cersei, a bunch of things going on here. She has unblockable buffs, but the glancing that usually is a pain in the butt on defense, guess what? Not for Spidey. We're already ramped up because she gains the regen, right? When she's in her glancing here. But look, we're going to steal those regens here. We're going to steal the regens, and we're going to be building totems from them. So at this point, right, we want to keep that blessing of the web up, because look at all of the regen that we are stealing. And now what's great is that all of our little bursts of energy damage here, watch, doesn't matter if the glancing is up, right? 5-star rank 1, so it's low damage. But don't have to worry about the glancing on Cersei. It actually helps you here, which is great, you know, because that's the most annoying thing about her. So here I'm trying to bait out a special 2. Nice, there we go. Lots of damage on the block from the rank 3 on the 5-star rank 1. But we're going to go for a special 2 here with the glancing up. And again, the burst damage right through it. Unblockable buff. We'll go right through that. Doesn't even matter. We can go for the heavy attack so we can get some more regen, right? There was that little bit of power burst from the Sig ability. I actually like that a lot. And here comes one more special too. Very solid Cersei counter. And my favorite is Hulkling, because Hulkling does the same pretty much thing, right? But you don't need the glancing up for the regen. Just so much regen, right? And also Pierce. You're going to steal his Pierce, and we're going to reduce the potency of his Pierce, which is huge. Do I block a hit here? I really should. I really should block a hit here. I guess I don't. Okay, so it's gonna reduce the potency of Pierce. Block a hit. Block a hit. It's gonna reduce the potency of the Pierce by 95%. Block. Thank you. Okay, we blocked the hit, and we're stealing his regen back. So. Oh my god. Look, we're back up at 100% health. This is a rank 3 Hulkling against a 5-star rank 1 Spidey. And the Pierce only did like 20%. And also, we stole the regen right away. So if it's rank 3 versus rank 3, it's going to be like, you know, very solid there. So here we go. Boom. There we go. I really like him versus Hulkling. So, Spidey, interesting champion, right? He's like okay when he can take advantage of buffs and power gain and stuff, but he certainly could be useful for different things when it comes to, you know, actually being in the scenario where he should be. One place that I do see him definitely having a lot of success, Path 8 and Alliance War, Rich Get Richer. You know, usually like Super Skrull, Venom, Cersei are placed there. They have buffs. You put more buffs on them. All the power they're going to gain from Rich Get Richer, you're going to gain instead. And it's going to look like that first Super Skrull fight, so that would definitely be good. Other nodes as well, I'm sure he'll be solid for, but just like anything that's passive power gain that isn't like crazy passive power gain, like if it's like mega power gain, he's going to really struggle there because he only reduces it by 33% per buff, which is why I do feel like that is a little bit low, but I guess I didn't want him to be like just controlling power as well as Spidey 99 does. He already fills that niche, right? So yeah, definitely interesting champ. When there are cosmic defenders who have buffs that you want to reduce the potency of, or steal, or just build a totem faster, that's where I feel like he's definitely going to have his use. Also, his synergies got some good stuff going on over here. Well, first we'll talk about what he gets. Basically, the first one, it just gives some extra burst damage if you're fighting a defender without additional buffs. Over here, this one's really good for him. Critical hits from light or heavy attacks grant a spider shield buff to the opponent. Better for non-buff matchups, right? So that's definitely good to have. Over here, the spider totem gives you additional critical rating. That's good for his damage phase. And over here, buffs granted by the Blessing of the Web have a 25% chance to trigger twice. So I like that versus Hulkling. Lots of regen. But Symbiote Supreme, you gain some extra genetic potential, right? Which is always good. Special attacks get an energy resistance or energy vulnerability for Sorcerer Supreme. Makes her hit a little bit harder. Over here, Overseer gains immunity to neutralize. Great for fighting Wiccan. Also going to be good for fighting, what's his face? Rintra. Love him. Venom the Duck. When the symbiote buff's consumed, 25% chance to re-trigger it. Okay. Venom Pool gains special lock immunity, good for Nimrod. Morningstar Special 2 does more damage. Into the villain verse, got some interesting ones over here. Okay. Craven. When a trap activates, inflict an Infuriate debuff on the opponent for 4 seconds. So this is going to be you place the trap, after 6 seconds it activates Infuriate debuff. The point of this, it's going to help the defender not back up into their trap. Vulture, basic attacks have a 25% chance to grant 10 Kitari charges. Cool. I think he needs a little bit more than that. 50% chance would be great. Carnage just increases the stack of his buffs, which is great. This one I'm very excited for. Electro. When attacking, 20% chance to inflict a shock passive on himself and the opponent. For dealing 30% of attack as energy damage over 10 seconds. Excited to really mess around with that one. And down here into the Spider-Verse with Spidey 2099. Debuff pause duration increased by 3 seconds. That's great. Spider-Gwen enervate duration increased by 1.75 seconds. And then Spider-Man Stealth Suit. Evading or dodging purifies 1 debuff. Okay. And then Spidey Stark Enhanced reduce the EMP web shot cooldown by 7.5 seconds. That's okay. I think it's like a 30-second cooldown normally, right? So that's going to be definitely better. I wish it was like 15 seconds. That might be a little too strong though. But yeah, Spidey Stealth Suit and 2099. Obviously, I got them both at rank 4, so I'd love to get this guy in the future. I think he's going to be a cool addition. There are already so many Spider-Men in the game. He could do some cool things. I don't think he's going to be bringing anything super duper new and crazy to the table that you probably don't already have filled up. When it comes to like mystic hard countering cosmics, I definitely prefer like the Rentra style neutralize and just like blocking all their special attacks like it's nothing. But Spidey Supreme has something interesting where he reduces the potency instead and copies the said buffs as well. So yeah, definitely an interesting champ. He's fun to play. He has really cool animations, so that's always really cool. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop your boy a big ol' like. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about Spider-Man Supreme. And yeah, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the video of Spot coming to you in probably 2 weeks. That's right, 2 weeks. And yeah, that's it. That's it. I'll be seeing you around.